here, you can see they're lovely white. They have gills on the underside. There we go. So amanitas are not always going to be white, but they are always going to have gills on the underside. Amanita mushrooms sometimes are bright red, or yellow, or brown, or gray. It's a whole family, and it's an important family to get to know. If you looked at that little diagram on that handout, you saw that there were some different parts of a mushroom. There was a skirt that was on there, and this one barely has any of its skirt left. There's just this little tissue right here that just comes off onto my knife. But it goes around this edge. That was part of the partial veil that used to cover the gills. And that partial veil breaks away and leaves behind a skirt. Sometimes. Okay, so that's the hard part. With this particular type of amanita, the skirt is not big and flowy. There are some amanita mushrooms, like your classic red amanita with white spots, you know, your toadstool or whatnot. That one has a really nice, beautiful, flowy skirt, and it's very obvious. But this one doesn't leave as much evidence from that skirt. The other thing that it has is a universal veil. Universal veil is a piece of tissue that covers the entire mushroom as it's growing. And then as the mushroom matures and breaks from that universal veil, it can leave evidence two places. It can leave it on the cap, which you can see little tiny chunks of it here. The veil is white and the mushroom is white though, so it doesn't stand out. But if you think about that red amanita mushroom, it has white spots. Those white spots are not actually part of the mushroom cap. It's just patches of universal veil that are stuck on the cap. So you can actually wipe those white spots away. So that's part of that universal veil. But the other place it has evidence is at the base, where sometimes it will leave kind of like a bulb or a ring of tissue down here. There was a really great example over here. I'm going to grab this guy. There's another amanita mushroom here. You can see how it has kind of like a bulb at the bottom that's left over from the universal veil, but it doesn't have evidence on the cap because sometimes the tissue just doesn't stick there, but it does have a ring. See its ring? This little tissue ring right here.
Is that not the skirt?
Ring or skirt. You can call either one. So sorry, yes, you can use both terms, ring or skirt.
It almost looks like it has another mushroom upside down. It's a reflection of itself.
That's true, yeah, that's actually, yeah. There you go. So again, these two mushrooms don't even look very much alike, but they're both in the Amanita family. Amanitas, most of the time, are going to have both of those things going on, the universal veil and a partial veil. But the thing is, sometimes the evidence is not always going to be really easy to see. But you always need to look for those things. So some mushrooms are going to just be clean and clear, never have any kind of ring on their stem, no universal veil. Some mushrooms will have one and not the other, but that's a thing of like a piece of evidence you always have to be on the lookout for when you're trying to identify your mushrooms. This one here has a really unique partial veil with part of it still attached, and it's totally slime.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
See, it's made out of slime.
That's slimy.
So a slime partial veil going on there. So when that one breaks away, it usually just leaves kind of like a chunk of slime on the stem, which is kind of cool. But here's one thing with this Amanita mushroom. If we do find some matsutake, we'll be able to compare it. But I'm going to just put this in my hand and squeeze, and it just easily falls apart into pieces. The matsutake mushroom is not going to do that. It's going to be firm.
Like that?
Not all of them, but this particular one, it's a good check and balance for that mushroom. So it
So
does,
what will the
breaks
other one
apart.
do? The matsutake? What
It's
will that?
great, delicious, edible.
Yeah, but
It'll
what
just
does the
be
stem do
firm.
when you
just
squeeze
is
it?
like firm.
It's
It
just firm?
feels like there'll be a tiny bit of give, but you can squeeze it really hard and
it
it
won't come apart like
holds
that?
itself all together. Yeah. So